Hey y'all, this is Coco. Welcome to another episode of Kicking It with Coco. And in this episode, as promised, we will be walking into the world of BDSM. So for those of you who are familiar with BDSM, this is right up your alley because you are the people who are into kinks and fetishes. So this is perfect for you. You're going to want to stick around, stay tuned because it's going to get real juicy. For those of you who don't know anything about the world of BDSM, like you just really don't, you've heard of it, you haven't heard of it. If y'all hear this noise in the background, this is my fan because I be getting hot, y'all. I'm 47. I have to turn it on. I'm sorry. I'm hot. Anyway, for those of y'all who don't know anything about the world of BDSM, you're going to learn a little bit of it now. Hopefully you stick around so that you can learn. I'm learning new things too. I've known about BDSM for a long time, ever since I was in like my 20s. It's always been fascinating to me. It's always been something that I've wanted to learn more about. And as I do research for this portion of my podcast, I'm learning more things. I'm the kind of person where when I become interested in something, I watch a lot of informational, Lord have mercy, informative, like videos, documentaries, whatever I can find. I read it, watch it, listen to it, so that I can learn as much as I possibly can. Now, a disclaimer: any and everything that I talk about on my podcast and every episode is information that I have researched or things that I've got opinions on. The opinions may be my opinion, my opinions of my friends, and opinions that have come across in the research that I have obtained. Now, in this particular episode, I'm going to dive into humiliation and degradation kink. But before I get into that, for those of you who don't know what the acronym BDSM stands for, I'm going to tell you what they mean right now so that you don't have to wonder any longer. And they stand for bondage and discipline. Now, bondage and discipline are the B and the D. That's what they stand for. And the D and the S are domination and submission. The S and the M are sadism and masochism or sadomasochism. Another thing that I want to say real quick is that the foundation always includes consent and safety. So anything that you see happening with BDSM, understand that safety and consent were already established before any of the acts has taken place. Like, it's already been established. Negotiations were had between all people involved or both people involved. So don't think that anybody is having anything done to them that they don't want done, because that's just not the case. Now, it also requires a lot of trust, and it's very psychological. Now, when I say it's very psychological, it is. And I'm going to get into that later, on an episode. But just remember I said that. The reason I want to get into humiliation and degradation kink first is because I have gotten my feet wet in that area. I have humiliated several men very recently. I first had my experience with that a few months ago, and the very first time that I did it, the very first time I was asked to do it, I was shocked because I had never been asked to do something like that before. Now, the people that I have performed humiliation play on, all of them were men. All of them have been men, except for, with the exception of one person who was a woman. which was very fun. Might I add, that was a fun experience. It's all fun, but when a woman wants you to like dominate her, it's crazy, but it's fun crazy. I will say this also, that these are people who asked me to do these things, do this to humiliate them. And the woman and the very first man that I performed that service for, I did it for free because I had known them from a particular, we crossed paths in a particular setting, which is the backstory behind to that is something that deserves its very own episode. So I'm going to save that for a separate episode. But the other men are clients of mine, and they are clients of mine that I have on a platform called Sex Panther. I'm on OnlyFans and I'm on Sex Panther, and these men will message me and tell me. Some of them will start the conversation off like, "Hey, how are you doing?" This, that, and the other. And some of them will just come right on in and tell me what it is they want me to say to them. And then when they're done, they say, "Can you do that for me?" And I either say yes or no, and I don't ever say no, because I enjoy it. And the more experience I have, the better I become at it. What happens during humiliation play is it's almost a form of a dom and sub situation, because as the person who is distributing the humiliation, I am also in control of that person. They become somebody that I dominate in that moment. The entire session, for however long it lasts, I am dominating them in the midst of the humiliation, because I am telling them things about themselves that are literally humiliating, but these are things that they want me to say. And at the same time, I can also tell them whatever it is I want them to say, and it pops up on my screen. I don't care what it is. As long as it's within their boundaries of what they want me to say to them, I can tell them to say anything. And they'll literally type the words and press send. For instance, if I said, "Tell me you're a little dick bitch," those words, the words "I am a little dick bitch," will come across my screen. If I say, "Who owns you?" they'll say, "You do, Mistress Coco. I'm your little dick bitch. You tell me what to do." Things like that. I had a client who was trying to tell me how to do something, and as soon as I saw that, I said, "Who the fuck are you talking to? You don't tell me what to fucking do, and you don't tell me how to fucking do anything. You do what the fuck I say. Do you understand me?" "Yes, I'm sorry, Mistress Coco. I'll never tell you what to do again. You own me." That's exactly what he said. Now, every form of humiliation does not always involve things like that. I have had requests for other forms of humiliation. Like it's all been verbal and it's all been online, but it takes the same effect if you do it correctly and you stay within the parameter of what they're asking you to, where they're asking you to be. Guys and women will want you to humiliate them about all kinds of things. I've had a guy who just was so like into black women, he wanted me to tell him how unworthy he was to fuck us. That was his form of humiliation. So I spent like an hour providing that type of humiliation for him. The woman, she wanted me to tell her how, talk about her titties, like in comparison to mine. She wanted me to humiliate her in that way. And she's not a bad looking woman. She's a beautiful body, but she wanted me to humiliate her in that way. So I did. And I said, whose bitch are you? She said, yours. I'm your bitch, Mistress Coco. That's what she said to me. And that is how the power play comes in. Because you're not just saying things to humiliate these people. You are basically controlling them. And that is where the psychological aspect comes in. So you have to be aware of what you're saying, because you don't want to veer off into some other shit that has nothing to do with that. Because you don't know, when it's online, you don't know really who these people are. You can't see them unless you do like a video chat or something, unless you do video calls. But I don't do video calls because the reception where I am, it is just too janky. Like they call video calls freeze a lot where I'm at. So anyway, I haven't done anything over the phone. I've sent voice notes, and I have done, just like the sexting aspect of it. But like I said, it becomes very psychological because you are basically controlling these people. It's like they're your puppets. And if you were in their face, you could get them to do anything you wanted them to do. But at the same time, like I said, you have to be respectful of their boundaries, because they've already told you what they want you to say. And they will tell you at a level, some of them will tell you at which level they want you to say these things, like how hard they want you to go. Like the woman, she was like, go hard as fuck on me, like don't hold back. And I was like, okay, and I let her have it. That's what they like. The degradation part of humiliation involves people who like to be treated like human toilets. They like to be treated like human toilets. They clean, they'll take like dirty objects and clean them with their mouths. It gets really intense. And that is why I was saying it's very psychological, because you can literally make these people do whatever you want them to do. And when you're online, you really don't know if they're doing it or not, unless, like I said, it's a video call. Then you can actually see if they're doing it. But when you're in their face, that's when the shit gets even more intense, because you're right there in front of them and you really can see if they're doing it or not. Y'all, I'm just really, it's like, as I talk about it, I start to have flashbacks while I'm talking about it, so you have to just bear with me. And for those of you who don't know what masochism is, it's a condition in which sexual or other gratification depends on one suffering physical pain or humiliation, either self-imposed or imposed by others. Now, that is what I was just talking about. Now, humiliation play is also known as erotic humiliation kink, or a humiliation fetish. Now, the information I'm about to give you is from a blog called Loving BDSM, and this particular article is by a woman named Kayla Lords. Now, Ms. Lords did not say all of these things verbatim, but I always like to cite the source of cite the source for the information that I get whenever I'm doing any kind of research, and that's just been instilled in me from college courses, like, you know, doing so many papers throughout my life. You have to always cite your source so that you don't get sued for any type of plagiarism or anything else. You always want to cite your source, so that's what I'm doing. She didn't say these things verbatim. I have taken her information, written it down, and put my own little spin on it. So here we go. Now, we've already established that humiliation play is also known as erotic humiliation kink, or humiliation fetish. There are different types of humiliation. There's verbal. And the verbal, you know, that is basically self-explanatory, but I'm going to tell you what happens within that. There's name calling, and you're saying a lot of things that you would not normally say to a person. And you go to a place that you have to separate yourself from. Now, that's something that I added on my own. You have to literally separate yourself from the person that you are during a session. Because for most of us, we don't just go around humiliating people. That's not something that most of us just do for shits and giggles. Me, I'm just not that type of person. I'm not about to just be mean to somebody just because. But these people, like I said before, they get off on being humiliated. So when they tell you what they want you to say and how they want you to do whatever it is they want you to do and say, that's what you're supposed to do and say. But you have to put a really powerful spin on it. Like, you can't just be like, oh, you know, your dick is so small. No, they don't want to hear that. Like, the men who want you to tell them how small their dick is, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear, God, you have such a small ass dick. That's not what they mean. You gotta come at them like, you little dick ass bitch. What the fuck am I gonna do with that shit? Look at that little ass dick. What is the point in you even having that? That's a fucking waste of a goddamn body part. You know, you gotta talk to them like that. Let me see that little ass shit. God damn. Send me a pic. You know, because it's online, you ask for a pic or a video. And as soon as you say that to them like that, that's what you get. They don't want the soft, like, humiliation. They want you to, like, lay into them. And the harder you go, the more turned on they become. And the more turned on they become, the more powerful you begin to feel, because now you're seeing what is happening because of the words that you're saying to them. It's like when you're like fucking and you see the reaction that you're getting from the other person, and you're paying attention to how their body is reacting and their facial expressions, and all of that is letting you know whether they're enjoying it or not. And if you are picking up from them that they like what you're doing, you're going to continue to do it because you like the reaction you're getting, and you, not only that, you understand that this is something that they like. This is something they want you to continue to do. You're doing a great job, and to keep on doing that. So that's what it's like when you are on the end of delivering the humiliation. It's like this this big power bomb just explodes inside of you. And now you know, okay, yes, this is where they wanted me to take them. Now we are cooking with gas. Like, okay, we in this thing now. So, but you still have to take it easy because it's online. So you don't know what kind of psychological shit these people have going on. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that you're staying within their boundaries. You can't just start popping off saying any old damn thing that you want to say that has nothing to do with what they want you to say to them. So you have to be very careful. And it's so psychological because it's a form of edge play. And if you're not careful, shit can go left very quickly. And you don't want to be the cause of that. So even though it's online, you still got to respect what these people are telling you they want. And that's another thing about BDSM, is that it seems like it's disrespectful, but respect, consent, and safety are just always there, because the person who's on the end of the receiving end of being dominated or humiliated or being bonded, they have to give consent for all of these things, for these things to even happen. And the person who's on the end of the, the dominant end, they have to have enough respect to stay within those people's boundaries, so that things can just, flow very easily, and that everybody isn't, getting what they want, what they desire to get out of that session. There is also physical forms of humiliation, and that involves wearing certain clothing, doing certain tasks, public shaming or embarrassment. And it also consists of being treated like an animal, certain forms of impact play like spanking, face slapping, etc. Now, impact play is something that I want to get into. I enjoy like being smacked on the ass, like if I'm being fucked from behind, like smack me on my ass, like pull my hair, or if you're on top of me, like choke me while you're fucking me. Like, I like shit like that. Like, do that to me. Like, call me names. Like, call me a slut. Call me a bitch. Like, I like that. Some women don't like that. I fucking love it. That's considered another form of humiliation. So I would be considered like a switch, because I like the way that I feel when I am humiliating someone, but I also love the way that I feel when I'm being dominated in the bedroom. So I'm a switch. I can go either way. I love both aspects of it. Now we want to get into degradation. Now, degradation informs people who want to be treated like a human toilet, and it is exactly what it sounds like. So don't even question yourself if you may be wrong. It's exactly what you're thinking. It also involves licking or cleaning something dirty with your mouth, and extreme forms of humiliation play. Now, the human toilet part, I had a man who wanted to pay me like $500 to shit on him. He also wanted me to text him, like inbox him early in the morning, like when like in the morning you gotta shit, like most people do. He wanted to see that. He wanted to see the tissue after I wiped my ass. He wanted pictures of all of this shit, literally. And at first I agreed to it, but then he just started doing the most. Like every day he was inboxing me like, are you still gonna do it? Do you still want to do it? Like, where are the pics? Like, I thought you were gonna send me pics. And it just got to be so much. And I was like, damn, this nigga really wants me to shit on him to the point where he won't stop bugging me about it. And it got to the point where I was annoyed, so I didn't want to do it anymore. I just couldn't even talk to him anymore. It was so irritating. So from that point on, when he would message me, I had to tell him, like, look, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, you starting to get on my nerves. Like, I can't take it. Just leave me alone. Thanks. Then you have people who want you to piss on them. Golden showers. Okay? And I know some of y'all your mind done went to R. Kelly. I know y'all. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. When I said golden showers, y'all wasn't thinking about R. Kelly. Anyway. There are people who want to like to be peed on. Like, it turns them on. And I have been asked to do that. I've never done it though. But there are a lot of things that people enjoy as far as humiliation and degradation go, that the average person would not understand why they like this. Now, let me be real. I will never understand why someone wants to be shitted on. I'll never understand that. Now, I do want to find out why people like it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to develop a comprehension for it. There's a difference. I want to know why people like it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to understand it. Now, I have also had guys who have wanted to lick my ass right after I shit. Like, they want, like, you go shit. This is what they say. What they would say. This is what they have said, rather. For instance, like, if you go shit right, when you done, I just want to come behind you and clean you up with my tongue. Like, I just want to lick your whole ass, like, right after you shit. Yeah. Or I've had men, like, say, and then those same ones, like, and even if I'm eating your pussy, I just want you to piss all in my mouth, like, pee all over me. Like, yeah. It's men out here who like shit like that. And I don't know why, they just like it. I guess it's like, for me, I have like, everyone, I believe, has, like, kinks and fetishes. I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people do. Like, one of my fetishes, well, two of them are, like, I love dickheads and cum. I just love it. I love it. The thicker and whiter the cum is, drives me crazy. The fatter the dickhead is, drives me insane. Like, I love that. I love it. I love when dudes that I fuck with send me cum videos. I love that shit. Love it. But anyway, back to the degradation part. Like, there are people who really enjoy being treated like human toilets, being just degraded. But like I said before, even with the humiliation part that I was talking about before, you still have to respect their boundaries of what they're saying. Now, if you decide this is something you want to do for somebody, you still have to stay within the parameters of what they're asking you to do. If they say, I want you to shit on me, on my stomach, or like wherever it is, that's where you need to keep that. Don't be going up by their face and shit all over their face, because that can cause a problem. That can cause a problem. So you have to respect what people are saying and do exactly what it is they're asking you to do. Otherwise, shit can go left really quickly. Another thing is that there's excuse me, y'all. Another part of humiliation is sexual, which involves cuckolding, forced penetration, forced orgasm, or forced masturbation. Now, the word forced can seem a little rapey, I know, but like I said, in BDSM, consent and safety are always present. Always. So no matter what you see, the person that is on the receiving end has consented to it being done, and the person who's doing it has consented to doing it. They feel like it's something they're okay with doing, and so things proceed. So remember that. Now, I do want to say one thing before I move on. Humiliation can be subjective. So by that I mean, like, what one person is turned on by, somebody else can be completely annoyed by. It's like people who don't like head. I love head. Give me head as long as you fucking want to. There are some people who are like, I don't see why people like head. I don't know what they get out of it. This shit is, I don't get nothing out of it. I don't like it. I wish people just wouldn't do it to me. There are people out there like that. So that's just an example of what I mean when I say that. Now, with being degraded, as far as the verbal part, the humiliation rather, as far as the verbal part is concerned, there's where the name calling comes in. Like, some people love to be called names during sex or while they're being humiliated. And I'm one of those people where you can call me some names during sex, but there are certain names that I like to be called. Goes back to respecting boundaries. Okay. Like, for instance, like I said, like, I like to be called a bitch or a slut. Like, I like that shit. Like, choke me and call me your bitch and tell me what a nasty slut I am and get all up in my ear with that shit, pull my hair, like, all of that. You can do that to me. But I have to trust you enough. I have to feel like I can be that vulnerable with you. Otherwise, none of that. You can't do none of that to me. Now, safety is important because humiliation is considered a form of edge play. And if you aren't careful, very real mental and emotional harm can be done to both you and your partner. So that means you have to have a lot of communication and trust, maybe more than with other types of play. Okay? Because the shit that's being said and done. You have to, and it's important this is very important, y'all. Have an open discussion about triggers. Because some people have emotional and mental traumas that they have not resolved as adults. And if you are not careful and you don't have these conversations before you go into this act of play, shit can go left. And I know I just said that, but I'm saying it again. Because it's like you're opening up someone's brain, pulling up a chair, sitting down, pulling both halves closed, and just sitting there, and you just in there doing shit. You're doing what they want you to do, but you're still in their brain. And because you're in their brain, you're in their brain, but you're in your brain too. So you have to be well aware of who the fuck you're dealing with when you're doing this type of shit. Because if you're dealing with somebody who has unresolved trauma of any kind, and you don't know that because the conversation was never had, something that you say to them, even though they consented, could trigger them and they could fucking snap. Or even for the person who's dominating, who's doing the humiliating or whatever it is, if you're on the end of being the person in control if you have those types of traumas that are unresolved, you could say something to the other person and you could fucking snap. So now that's even worse, because you might not be able to control yourself. And that person is throwing the safe word in there, and you done blacked out to the point where you don't even fucking hear that. So that conversation needs to be had. And there needs to be an extremely high level of transparency when you're having it. Because some or all forms of humiliation play may not be okay, depending on what is going on upstairs with some people. And I'm just being totally real when I say that. I'm not even trying to be funny. That's some real shit. That's why even in relationships, you need to know about a person's past in those areas. That's why I understand why people say people's past don't matter. Shit like your body count, I don't give a fuck about that. I want to know what's going on with you upstairs. We need to have a conversation about that. Are you mentally okay? And if the answer is no, why not? And what do you plan on doing about that? Or do you plan on doing anything about that? And if so, what? Now, the next thing that you need to do is you need to constantly check in and ask if the person is okay and if you can keep going, because you want them to understand that even though you are in the dominant position, you want them to know that you are still in the moment with them, that you actually are present. You're paying attention to them. It's not, you really want them to know that even though that this thing is happening where they're being dominated in whichever way, humiliation, degradation, whatever, you still want them to know, I'm right here with you. Now online, you really, it's a bit different. For me, the experience has been a bit different. But in person, you really want to, and even on video call, phone call, you really want to make sure that the person is okay and that things are going the way that they want them to go. A safe word needs to be created, or a safe signal, but you can't just rely on that. That's why I said you have to check in, and in between checking in, you need to be paying attention to how they're reacting to what you're doing. So even if the safe word or signal hasn't been used, you really want to be paying attention to how their body is responding and how their face and their muscles and everything about them is responding to what you're saying and doing. That is how you know whether or not what you're doing is cool, or you might want to ease up a little bit. And if you feel like you need to ease up a little bit, that's when you check in, are you good? Are you okay? Do you want to proceed? Because we can stop, or I can pull back. What is are you okay? And they'll let you know. They'll tell you. Aftercare is extremely important too. Now, once the session is over, you want to make sure that the person who was on the receiving end is okay with everything that just happened. And you want to, if they're a person who, and sometimes people might not want to be physically touched after that. And this is for if you're in person. Now, if you're not in person with them, you still want to have some type of aftercare. Ask them, are you okay? Are you okay with everything that just happened? How do you feel about it? Would you want to do this with me again? These are the questions that you need to be asking, because you really want the person to know. You want that that you are someone that they can trust. And if they want to do this again, that they can consider coming to you for this type of session again, because you really are concerned about them and you want to make sure they're okay and you want to make sure that they're satisfied. And another thing is that you, like I just said, basically it's the same thing. You want to make sure that your person, your partner, whomever, is adored and cherished and respected. Even though they're being humiliated, you still want them to know that you respect them enough to stay within their boundaries, and afterwards you want them to know how much you care about them, because like I said, you just got through saying a bunch of shit to them that you would never normally say. Okay? So make sure that if it's your significant other, or even somebody that you just do these kind of sessions with, and there's nothing else involved, and it doesn't even have to be sexual. Sex doesn't even have to be a part of it. But if it is, that's when you really want to make sure that things are okay. And you need, like I said, you want to talk about it. Even later on, you might want to bring it up, because sometimes feelings and stuff don't hit until after everything is over with. So you might want to talk about it some more, and stop if you feel like you need to stop. Don't ever do what you don't want to do. I don't care if the shit been going on for 15 minutes. If you're at a point where you feel like you want to completely just say no, say that. You don't have to keep on going. And the person who is doing the dominant, who's on the dominant end, they will respect you enough to stop. And they should ask you what's wrong, But it's up to you. It's up to that person if they want to say what it is. Humiliation play is not for everyone. And watching it from afar can be alarming for some, which is also understanding. Like I said, seeing it like on the outside looking in, you really might not understand it. But once you are in this world, it becomes a little bit more understandable, because I shouldn't even say understandable. You respect it more. That's what I should say. It's similar. BDSM is similar to kink, but it's not sexual. It can hold a very sexual charge, though. Sex, now, don't get me wrong, sex can be a part of it. But for some people, sex doesn't even come into it. Some people just like to be humiliated, dominated, without sex even taking place. That's just what some people like. Now, some people like to be edged to the point where they're almost about to have an orgasm, but they want you to keep doing whatever it is you're doing, because they don't want to. It's like you're pushing them to the edge of it, but they don't want it to happen. And that's even more of a turn on for them. It's like they want to feel that rush, like it's about to happen, but they want to suppress it. And okay, before I wrap this up, you guys, I'm gonna leave some other stuff for episode 4. I have some things for episode 4 that I want to talk about, but I'm not gonna tell y'all what they are right now. I want y'all to be surprised. But I will say this. In the world of BDSM, the dom is not always a male, as you know, because I just told you what I have experienced. So, if you are a man and you want to be dominated, you know who to come to. I'm just saying. And on that note, I'm so glad that y'all tuned in. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to y'all later. But in the meantime, in between time, have some sex, y'all. Have a lot of orgasms, whether you're solo dolo or with somebody or with somebody's. But have a lot of those motherfuckers. I'll talk to y'all in the next episode. Bye.